In the years following the issuing of the Emancipation Proclamation, a war-stricken nation was torn apart further from the grueling debate over the issue of eradicating slavery. While the Emancipation only freed slaves in all boundaries within the Union, it gave hope that the end of the long battle was near. While there was fighting on the battlefield behind the scenes, there was a battle amongst politics as well. The Copperheads, who denounced the war, urged Lincoln to withdraw his statements, while the war Democrats, although quite racist, saw the proclamation as a war tool. The proclamation represented a shift in the war objectives of the North. Reuniting the nation was no longer the only goal. It represented a major step toward the ultimate abolition of slavery, and Lincoln was willing to risk it all to take that step. Although with every step towards the abolition of slavery came an opponent, John Wilkes Booth happened to be his biggest and worst opponent thus far.
That on the first day of January, in the year of our Lord, 1863, all persons held as slaves within any state or designated part of a state, the people whereof shall then be in rebellion against the United States, shall be then thenceforward and forever free. And the executive government of the United States, including the military and naval authority thereof, will recognize and maintain the freedom of such persons, and will do no act or acts to repress such persons, or any of them in any efforts they may make for their actual freedom.
So, Mr. Booth, thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to interview with us today. You are Hollywood's newest sensation. How do you feel about that?
I'm determined to be a villain.
All right, so there you have it. Mr. Booth, determined to be a villain.
NASA said this was breaking news.
Here's a pip for you, buddy.
Thank you. Afternoon, sir.
Oh, this just in. Mr. Booth, you have been asked to be with the
Like I said, I'm determined to be a villain.
After Lincoln's re-election in November 1864, Booth devised a plan to kidnap the president and bring him to Richmond, where he could be ransomed for some of the Confederate prisoners being held in northern territories. Booth enlisted a group of friends from Washington to aid him in his attempt, including Lewis Powell, Michael O'Laughlin, Mary Surratt, Samuel Arnold, and John Surratt. Booth and his conspirators plotted an assortment of elaborate plans to kidnap the president. The first plan involved capturing Lincoln in his box at Ford Theater and proceeding to lower the president to the stage with ropes. Booth ultimately gave up on his acting to focus on these schemes. A plan was devised to capture Lincoln as he traveled in his carriage. This plan collapsed when President Lincoln changed his itinerary and chose to go a different way.
Thank God Booth came up with a plan to kidnap the president. It's getting real tired of him.
Yeah, it's about time. You know, you should be rolling through any minute now.
I got news for you guys. The president took a different direction.
Dick Flavish!
Shoot!
The president delivered a speech to a small group gathered in the lawn of the White House. Just 2 days earlier, Robert E. Lee had surrendered at Appomattox Courthouse, and after 4 long years of struggle, it had become clear that the war was finally over and the Union could emerge as the victorious.
I will be offering a pardon with certain exceptions to any Confederate who will swear to support the Constitution and the Union. Once a group in any conquered state equal in number to 1/10 of that state's total vote in the presidential election of 1860 took the prescribed oath and organized a government that abolished slavery, I will grant that government executive recognition. This nation has been torn for too long. I also wish to extend the right to vote to some African Americans, especially to those who had fought in the Union ranks during the war and expressed a desire that the southern states would extend the vote to literate blacks as well.
This means Negro citizenship. Now, by God, I gotta put him through. This will be the last speech he'll ever make.
Preach it.
The speech at the White House truly proved to be the straw that broke the camel's back. Booth and his friends planned to kill not only Lincoln but 4 other important Union officials. Booth is the only one who actually followed through. George Atzerodt was assigned to take out Vice President Andrew Johnson, Lewis Powell was supposed to kill Secretary of State William Seward, and Booth was assigned to assassinate President Lincoln as well as General Grant. And that was that. Immediately following the shooting, an unconscious Lincoln was carried across the street to the Peterson house and into the room of a War Department clerk. The bullet had ripped a path through the left side of his brain, mortally wounding him. He died later that morning. As for the other victims, General Grant declined the invitation to see the play. Union officer Henry Rathbone took his place. While Booth waited for his opportunity to assassinate the president at Ford's Theater, two of his co-conspirators journeyed to their assigned targets. Lewis Powell stabbed Seward several times, but none of the blows were mortal. At the same time, another conspirator, George Atzerodt, made his way to the hotel where Vice President Johnson was lodging. Armed with a gun and knife, Atzerodt ended up in the hotel bar where he got drunk and lost his nerve. He left the bar without ever confronting Johnson and threw his knife away.
Whatever happened to predictability? The milkman, the paperboy, evening TV. You miss your old familiar friends, but waiting just around the bend.